No fight for the breakaway, then a massive fight kicks off with Pogačar even attacking before a lone Abrahamsen fends off a hungry peloton. This was stage 8 of the Tour de France, a hillier sprint stage, the final 500 or 1 kilometers uphill, not a puncher's finish still for sprinters, but a hard rolling day all beforehand. Perfect for someone like Arnaud Delis, who won Belgium National Championships on a finish similar, and Biniam Girmay indeed. For the GC guys or punchy ones like Poggy, probably still not difficult enough. EF Education Easy Post, you could see them lined up at the start, ready to go, and indeed they did. They wanted to be in the breakaway. They still had Maren van den Berg as a backup option as a sprinter, and look at them. They almost go too hard because there's other teams that wanted to get in the breakaway. Astana, Total, Bahrain, FDJ, they wanted to be in as well. But because EF jumped so early before the climbs, there's 3 hard sort of 5 to 7 minute climbs coming up, they basically made themselves unbridgeable. Bissiger, Powers, and Abrahamsen was so strong. Abrahamsen he just wanted to be ahead because he wants free KOM points. He doesn't want to have to be fighting some random person in a breakaway for the KOM sprint, and then it gets blocked up, and you see these rollers and the downhill. No one wants to get caught in a chasse patate against those strong riders like Pacher, and then in the peloton, Intermarché and Lotto Destiny, they're blocking everything up and marking everybody trying to bridge across. It's only Bahrain trying to jump at this point. So the break initially goes. It was almost like there was no fight at all. Lotto start pacing for Delis. Binny's there, looking good. Their team's keeping the overview. And then EF realise correctly that they're not going to make it all that way with just 2 riders or a 3-man breakaway. So Bettiol, on that first climb, does a huge lead out for Ben Healy to try and get something going. And this is much smarter and works much better because the domestiques of Intermarché, Hobehosens, they can't mark you as well uphill, obviously, as they can if they sit on the wheels on the flat. So he pulls out of the line. Stevie Williams, winner of Flèche Wallonne, he's there. So we've got serious guys now trying to get into the breakaway. Healy, Williams, but unfortunately for them, Lotto Destiny have got one of those serious guys themselves. So they put Maxim van Hils, who's a top 5 hilly one-day racer so far this year. He goes into every move, blocking it up, not participating, trying to slow it down because they don't want a big break of punchers going. And look at Pogačar. This is a really reduced group, or there were splits happening. He jumps over the top of the first KOM, Vingegaard in his wheel. Don't really know why. Maybe there was someone up ahead like Roglic. I'm not sure, but there's splits, in fact, you can see. And then Gregoire goes ahead. So first climb, the break didn't form again. EF with Abrahamsen are still ahead, but it looks like there's appetite for it. It looks like a lot of these teams are jumping, although some more selectively than others. Powers and Bissiger let Abrahamsen go. Total go again, and it kicks off. Rui Costa, Axel Zangler, Mathieu Van Der Poel, Paul Lepera, the French national champion, but look who's there again. Maxim van Hils, Santiago Buitrago, even Jan Tratnik on Visma, who haven't got in any breaks, they're getting in the break, but even Little Trek, who lost Mads Pedersen in the morning and should have been going in the breakaway with Ciccone or Schurns in the first place, they start thinking we need to be in this group with Warren Barguil and co, and I thought, this is a nasty breakaway. Sobrero, Van Der Poel, still doesn't go, gets brought back. Get to the third climb, and I'm thinking, now it really is going to go. 3K, 6%, it's going to go. It doesn't. All the enthusiasm for getting in the break goes out of the peloton, and Abrahamsen's allowed up the road. The intermediate sprint comes just after that climb. Intermarché do a fantastic job with Binny taking the maximum points available behind Abrahamsen, and Gerben Thijssen actually coming second ahead of Philipsen. So Philipsen loses 4 points again to Binny there, and now it's control time. So it's pretty flat out all day given how strong Abrahamsen is and was. Geschke for Cofidis, Harm van Herke for Lotto Destiny, Hobehosens for Intermarché, and Sylvain Dillier for Alpecin. They also wanted a bit of action out of this stage for Jasper Philipsen in the final sprint, but Delis and Binny probably the favourites for this uphill finish, and it was an uphill finish into a headwind for Jonas Abrahamsen. He got brought back by about 3.5 minutes by the sprinters teams, and then the nervousness of the GC teams in the wet going into roundabouts up and down did the rest for him, everyone fully lining out the road. and just that nervousness and pacing from those teams put paid to any hopes Abrahamson might have for this stage. But he takes some more KOM points. He was really, really strong. Maybe in week 3 on that Barcelona stage, he could have a good chance of winning from the breakaway. And to be honest, not too much happens. We know that Van Aert wouldn't be going for the stage as he appears with 10Ks to go on the front of the peloton. The GC teams lined out. Astana seemed confident in Cavendish. They were up there, but he wasn't able to contest the finish. 3Ks to go. The magical safety zone. There's nearly disaster. Vingegaard's on the left-hand side behind Jorgensen, and this Arkea rider in the middle, he's going to try and burst into the gap to get back onto his 2 teammates ahead of him. Unfortunately, maybe he shouldn't have shot the gap in the first place. The peloton moves from right to left before he actually makes that decision, but he still decides to squeeze in anyway. Alpecin, De Koenig get him. You see 5 or 6 of their riders, their entire train is here. They are caught up in that, and they have to sprint back on. I mean, luckily no one crashes, but you've just lost 50 positions going in the last 3 kilometers, and they have to bring Philipsen back. That comes at a cost. Of course, there's a downhill and there was a bit of a headwind. That makes it a bit easier, but still, they're deeper than they would have liked to have been under the Flamme Rouge, especially as Intermarché starts spanking it. Bini switches off to the Cofidis train. Dali, he just gets squeezed off Coquard's wheel, and that is probably the end of his chance of winning the stage unless he can get lucky, because he gets squeezed back behind Ackermann and he's 2 wheels behind Bini. I mean, he still had a chance here. He's still in very, very good position. We've seen how good he is uphill. Philipsen's on his wheel though as well, and Coquard's just being delivered far too early, but Bini is getting the absolute perfect run. He got straight from his train onto the Cofidis train, including Coquard giving him a lead out, and when he jumps, let's say he's the freshest, and Dali and Philipsen have had to do more work. Dali gets boxed in, but let's look at the overhead. Bini, perfect position, Slot having to fight with someone's elbow on his bars, and then when Philipsen jumps, he's got enough kick to stop himself getting boxed in. Dali's coming with super power on the right-hand side. There was just no space for him. Tries to shoot a gap that isn't there. Maybe could have won, should have won. Definitely will be disappointed. But the second win in the first week for Biniam Girmay, a dream for him in Intermarché. It can't be going any better for them. Ahead of Philipsen, Dali, Ackermann, Vandenberg, Gibbons, Turgis, Fred Wright, Armbrew, and Evenepoel actually came 10th.
They start lead out our team, 1K to go. I already knew, like my legs was super completely exposed, so for sure, if my legs is there, the other also, they have the same feeling. So when we go slightly up again, I felt again like super hard. And then I knew, I think now it's going to be my day, because everybody already stretched one line. There is also 2 Cofidis in front of me. I would say also thanks to them, because it was perfect lead out in the end for me. In the end, it was really a good fight with Philipsen. And then I won.
In terms of GC, no changes, thankfully no crashes either. Tomorrow we have the gravel stage, which most of these guys will be fearing, mainly because there's not really any opportunities to take time. But if you have an ill-timed mechanical in the last 40 kilometers, it can be a very, very stressful and chaotic day. I'll have the recap for you tomorrow. See you then. Ciao.